Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Drawn Talk, the show where we talk about making comics and indie comics. And today we have an awesome episode. It's going to be really fun. We want you to interact if you're watching in the chat. We are going to be talking about comic book reboots, and we're going to be talking about comic book adaptations, whether it's in like a movie, novel, TV show. It's going to be a really fun time. But before we get into that subject, I want to introduce my guests on the show today. They both have they're crowdfunding comics right now. The links are down below in the descriptions. But everyone, we've got Aaron Pohera. Did I get that right?
Yes, that is correct.
And we got Mike Radich here, and they are going to be promoting their books, the Book of Liaxia, and then Cage Fighters from the Rock. So real quick, Aaron, why don't you go give us, like a one minute and a half, like 90-second pitch on your comic, and while you talk, I'm gonna screen share what your book looks like.
All right. So Book of Liaxia is pretty much it's a comic book about different mythologies, different gods. I love mythology. It's been something I've been reading for many years, ever since I was a kid. So you have Greek mythology, Egyptian, later on you'll get Norse and others. And it's basically, in a sense, kind of like Game of Thrones. In a sense, they're separated in families. So each set of mythologies is separated in different families. And the first arc is really about two brothers, Kronos and Deimos, that are basically trying to stop this war that's been going on for millennia, for aeons, ever since they even came into existence. And they're basically kind of the last stop for the war to completely stop before everything kind of goes to bananas. And it's gonna be very, very interesting. You'll see a lot of fighting, a lot of magic, and like I said, so Kronos and Deimos are basically gods of time and space, and nobody knows this about characters in the story. Don't know anything about what their powers are, and they're basically, time and space, so they are ultimate gods. And they're basically hiding this from everybody because they're trying to keep this universe together.
No, that's awesome. And everyone, this is the page right now. I love this Kenneth Rocafort cover. He's one of my favorite comic book artists out there. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit sometimes. So that's awesome. Guys, look at this cover. Like, it looks so freaking baller. So, guys, link him down below. Book of Liaxia, #1. It's #1 of 7 for the first arc. 15 days to go at almost $1,700. Guys, just check it out, and if you're interested. Now, all right. Now we got Mike Radich here also, and he has a book called Cage Fighters from the Rock comic book series, and his book's actually on Indiegogo. Mike, tell us about your series. Tell us about your book and why we should fund it.
Okay. If you want to see something you've never seen before, this is the only thing you can really say that for. There's not much, and we're talking about reboots and remakes and all this stuff tonight, so it's a perfect little mirror image of what we're going to be talking about tonight, because this story truly is unlike anything you've ever seen before, because we're mixing in MMA with action adventure like no one's ever done before. There's been movies like Warrior, and there's been movies like Never Back Down. There's been movies like Here Comes the Boom, but those are just MMA stories. This is a story, an action adventure story with MMA. And what's great about our story is, let's say that you hate MMA. Let's say that you've never seen MMA. Let's say you don't know what that is. You don't have to be an MMA fan to enjoy our book. We're an action adventure story first with some MMA mixed into it, and we have the perfect blend of action adventure and MMA. And the reason why people should check us out on Indiegogo is because we have a different format than everyone out there right now. We are in the mold of the old cliffhanger movie serials from the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. So unless you're 80, you've never seen these before. Yes, those Batman serials, they're out there. I'm sure a lot of you who are listening have seen those horrible serials. This is nothing like that. This is a new day. It's a remixed version, updated for a modern audience. And we're taking that old concept and putting it into a modern setting. And it's, again, like I said, nothing anyone's ever seen before unless you're from that era. All these movie serials people don't know about. So the concept is outdated and unknown to a modern audience. So we're taking that old concept, remixing it, and putting it into comic book form. And the elevator pitch for the story is we have 3 world champion MMA fighters who fight crime. It's very simple. It's a good versus evil tale. We have our 3 heroic leads, and they fight crime not in a corny way. They're not superheroes. I like to call them extraordinary heroes. They're just regular people who do great things, and they all represent a different side of fighting. They all represent a different side of society. They all have different things, and the story has everything in it. It has action, it has adventure, it has excitement, it has mystery. We have a mystery element in the story. We have multiple mystery elements, actually, and it's just a fun story divided up into 12 parts, 12 cliffhanging chapters, and there's going to be a cliffhanger at the end and a true cliffhanger at that. We won't know if our heroes survive, or depending on how you look at it, you won't know actually how they survived. You know that our main leads are going to come back, so depending on how you want to look at it, you might not know how they survived. You might be looking at it like, oh, did they make it, or how did they escape? So depending on what you look at it for, we have that, and that's what separates us from every comic book on the market is we've adopted this old format and remixed it and put it into this new story. And like I was saying earlier, you don't have to be a fan of MMA to like our product, but if you are a fan of MMA and if you are a fan of comics, then this is a dream come true for you.
So is this what the art's going to look like?
Yes, Martin Kokolo drew that. That's our promo image for Cage Fighters from the Rock. The reason why we don't have pages is because we want you. We want the fans. We want audience participation. We want actual real life people in our book. We have 300 spots available. And if you go to our Indiegogo campaign right now and back us at the $100 level, you will be a character in Cage Fighters from the Rock. You might be a recurring character that has multiple lines. You might be someone who appears in a few issues as a background player. You might be just someone who appears one time in one panel. It depends on who you play, but we will throw you in as a character in this story, regardless of who you are, regardless of what you look like, regardless of what language you speak. $100 gets you the first issue of Cage Fighters from the Rock, #1, 28 pages of full-color comic book story. Then we get you the digital version of that also. But then we also give you a subscription, all 12 issues of Cage Fighters from the Rock digitally. Then we also get you your name in the thank you section in the back of the book, all 12 issues. And if you back us at the $100 level, you not only get to be a character in the story, but you're entered to win. We have comic book merchandise, we have MMA merchandise, we have t-shirts, we have Blu-rays, we have all kinds of great prizes with your name on it. So get there right now, back us at the $100 level, and you get to be a character in the story, and you'll be entered to win a sweet prize. And every $100 backer is walking away with something. We have 300 prizes. They're going to be delivered at random. So if you get there, just back us at the $100 level. Bring 10 friends. We have a $1 and a $5 tier that's perfect for your friends. Back us at $100. Get 10 of your friends at $10 or $5 or whatever. They can even get on the action too and want to be a character as well, and we can give them that $100 tier. So just get your friends, round them up, and be entered to be a character in the story and also some great merchandise.
That's intense. That's intense. I hear that go. Well, everyone, check out Cage Fighters from the Rock. Link down is in the description as well. And hey, if you want to be a character in the book, $100 will get you a subscription of the whole entire series, so that pays for the 12. Now, so you guys don't have any artwork yet because you're waiting to get backed, I guess.
Yeah. So let's say that our campaign ends and we don't get 300 people to back us at $100. We have backup people ready to go. We have characters designed that, okay, in case we don't get somebody, we can just plug that person in. So, but we want to have audience participation. That's our main thing. We want to have real life people in the story because we want to eliminate that problem that everyone seems to be, coming to the conclusion that they're having of representation. Everyone keeps saying, oh, I want to see myself in something. I don't see myself up there. Well, if you can't see yourself in yourself, then who can you see yourself in? So we're going to eliminate that problem and put in real life people and let them be a part of the action.
For sure. We have E-Hero Andrew asking, will there be female MMA fighters?
Yes. Our second in command. So John Kang, he's the leader of the Cage Fighters of the Rock. And then Rian R.J. Jennings, she's the second in command, and she's one of our lead characters. There will also be other female fighters that train at their gym. So we definitely have every group covered. We have so much diversity, which I don't really love to brag about because then it sounds like it's a plan. It's not a plan. I just write the world around me, and the world around me is diverse. So it's not a plan. It's just me viewing the world that I live in, and I live in a very diverse world. But we have women who fight. We have men who fight. We have kids who fight. We have the whole 9 yards.
Sweet. All right, everyone. I put the links down below. Please check them out, and we'll be plugging in their book in throughout the rest of the show. I want to thank everyone who's in the chat right now. We have Britton, we have Carl. Hey there, guys. Who else do we got? We have Rebel Gaming. Oh, Niobe. Switch to the right account. I had to do that last night on your stream. And yeah, everyone, today we're talking about comic book reboots and adaptations. What do we think about them? So in the chat, guys, tell us what are your favorite comic book adaptations, whether it's like a TV show or a movie, or maybe, I know there was like some Walking Dead novels, and there was a Batman Begins novel as well. It's kind of weird. So let us know in the chat, and we'll definitely read them out. We have some Okie dude, that's Brittany, saying the Dark Knight Returns movies, the Nolan's Knight trilogy, the old Superman movies, and Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, except number 3, and Captain America Winter Soldier, are among my favorite. Oh, and Blade's back, my dudes. I'm so excited. Yeah, I think, I love Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, and I was a big fan of Winter Soldier. And then we have Carl's Amateur Hour saying Batman the Animated Series, the Dark Knight Returns movies, Spider-Man 1 and 2, and the Fleischer Bros Superman cartoons. Interesting. And then Niobe Comics saying some Star Wars was good. G.I. Joe from TV to comics are good. So let's start with the adaptations, and we'll talk about reboots. So Aaron, what is your take on like comic book adaptations? What makes a good comic book adaptation, and what makes a bad comic book adaptation? And maybe give your opinion, and after that I'll give the mic to Mike.
All right. So what I think a good comic book adaptation would be something that not only tells the story of the comic book, but it also has the soul of the comic book itself. So, like with the Dark Knight Returns and Dark Knight trilogy in general, it really captured that world. It didn't try to be, too funny. It had the true feel of the Batman books. It had some comedy in it when it was necessary, but at most of it, it was dark. It was gruesome in parts, and it was gritty. It was kind of like watching a Batman noir type of deal. So those kind of stories fit Batman. Now, I don't like what they did with a lot of the DC movies in general, because they tried to be too dark. They tried to make Superman into Dark Knight and didn't work at the beginning. And they tried to slowly lighten it up. And as much as I like Snyder as a visual director, I just don't think he had a true feel for what that universe should be. So I'm kind of looking forward to Aquaman and Wonder Woman 1984, because to me Wonder Woman was the best DC movie.
So it's interesting that you say that, because I actually loved Man of Steel. I loved Batman vs Superman. I loved Wonder Woman. I liked Suicide Squad. Gosh dang, did I hate Justice League? That was such an awful movie. I was kind of sad. I personally am kind of sad that the whole Snyder vision is kind of going away. But I'm excited about Aquaman and even like Shazam. It looks fun and entertaining. But I really liked the whole dark feeling that they had, because it was different than the MCU.
No, for sure. And the MCU has, and I'm gonna get so much flack for this.
Everyone, give them flack on the comments.
Yes, please do. I did not like Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, neither did I.
It was terrible. It's like watching Rush Hour with Thor and Hulk. Just did not fit. Especially not that storyline. You had Hela and you had the destruction of Asgard, spoilers, but you had all of this comedy going around, and it's just, even the final bit, like final scenes, you had that final battle on Asgard, and it was a dark and broody kind of moment when they were on the ship, spoilers again, and you just had that comedy bit just out of nowhere, just to keep it light, and just did not work for me.
Yeah, like the end of Thor Ragnarok was so serious. I mean, this is like the whole planet is going to be destroyed, everyone's going to die, and yet the tone of it was so off. You're just like, this doesn't make sense. I don't know, Mike, what do you think about all of this in response to Aaron?
Aaron said a good portion of what I was going to say, and he touched on it beautifully when he said something similar. And I'm sorry, Aaron, I'm kind of mixing up your words here, but when you were talking about how the best adaptations are the ones that stay so loyal to the source material, when, for example, Man of Steel goes so dark, that's not really Superman, that's more in the tone of Batman. That's why a lot of people, including myself, Aaron, I'm with you, I'm siding with you on this one. I didn't really like Man of Steel because it felt more like Batman than it did Superman. It didn't feel that good. But again, Man of Steel was in a very tough situation, because for a lot of people, the definitive superhero movie is the 1978 Superman the movie by Richard Donner with Christopher Reeve, that's coming back to theaters soon, and I'm really excited about going to see that on the big screen finally, because I was born in the early 90s, so I didn't get to see that on the big screen. I would have loved to, but I'm kind of a youngin', so I didn't get to see that. Now I'm getting that opportunity. But back to your question, it's just that when the characters don't stay loyal to the source material, they become kind of unrecognizable in that spot, and that's what happened with Man of Steel. I thought the best superhero movie that really touched on everything that was great about the character was Batman '89, the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batman, and also Batman Begins, where we got really deep down inside the core of who makes Batman Batman. That's what I thought was the best adaptations taken from the page to the stage, because those were something where you have this idea in the back of your mind of what Batman is, and then when you see it on the screen, it connects with that. Even if you haven't read a comic book in 20 years, when you see those images and you hear about those characters, it just comes to life for you. And that's what makes an adaptation great, is when they stay so loyal to the source material. And I think it's been proven time and time again, when they stray from the source material, whether it's because they're just trying to do an alternative take, because they, like Man of Steel, it's going to be very difficult for someone to compete against the Christopher Reeves Superman, so I could see where they were going with more of a darker tone, and because it worked with Batman. So, well, if everyone loves Batman and this is a $1 billion franchise, let's make all the characters dark and we'll make billions of dollars. But that obviously doesn't work because, like Aaron said, when they stray away from the source material, bad things happen.
No, I got people on the stream. They're agreeing with you. They're saying Carl's Amateur Hour says, I think the MCU has a tone problem. We got Christopher C saying Hellraiser movies and comics were a pretty good adaptation of the Hellbound Heart novel. Britain is saying A History of Violence, The Walking Dead, 2012, Judge Dredd, Sin City for indies. And then Cringeworthy Geek says Watchmen, the Ultimate Edition is very well made. Takes a few unnecessary liberties, though. Man, I watched the Watchmen Ultimate Edition like 2 weeks ago. That's like a 3.5 hour long movie. You know, I had time, guys. Let's see. I put in the chat. I said, "What do you guys think of Batman vs Superman? Please validate me."
Yeah, I like it.
No one's supporting me though.
I like it. I think Batman vs Superman was a good movie. I do. I think it was good. The problem with the movie is that to get there, we had to live through Man of Steel. I know you said you like it, but I'm not a fan of that movie. But I can live with it because we got to Batman vs Superman. Because you kind of have to make Superman do what he does in that movie to set up him being the sort of backdoor villain in that movie. So I'm with you. I have no problems with Batman. Mm-hmm. I didn't like the Martha quote. I'm not a fan of that. I would have liked it better if Wonder Woman was the one who was assembling the League, and she was the one who was trying to bring everyone together, and she broke up their fight. No. There's a greater threat coming. We need both of you. Stop fighting. That Martha thing. I didn't like how Lois Lane was the key to stopping them fighting. I would have preferred Wonder Woman.
Yeah, but like I've read, I'd like follow Zack Snyder and everything that
sure.
like she was supposed to have a bigger role in it, and they just didn't happen. Britain says they effed up Batman. Britain, don't make me unfriend you. I think Britain, come on, we chat.
I actually liked Ben Affleck's Batman though. I think it was great.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
And he definitely brought the tone, and Batman vs Superman, the director's cut, a lot better than the movie. Mm-hmm. Like it ties so many loose ends, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean it's just that tonally some of those movies don't know where they want to be, and you can definitely see when the studios meddle into them too much, and that's what kind of happened to Batman vs Superman. It was just studio was, hey, let's make it more like an MCU movie, even though we did not set it up to be like an MCU movie.
And it wasn't planned. The DCEU wasn't planned. Whereas sorry, I'm holding my Batman and Superman cards that my wife got me at an arcade. The DCEU wasn't planned out very well. Whereas the Marvel Cinematic Universe was like this is our plan for the next 10 years. Here we go.
I don't know if that was necessarily true, though. I mean, that kind of became true after the
first phase, I think.
Well, after the third Iron Man movie, which was not good, but
yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, not good. But after the third Iron Man movie, they started to put all of these characters together, and where they had time to actually bring this team together, I think the DC kind of rushed it and was like, hey, Justice League now. Second movie out, let's make a Justice League movie, where Marvel had 5 movies to build to it.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. My biggest problem with DC was just the fact that they just went way too fast. Marvel gave us Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man 2, and then they gave us the Avengers. So we by the time it got to the Avengers, it was just all straight action because you don't have to get to know these characters. We already know them. Whereas in Justice League, most of the movie was like, so tell us about Flash, tell us about Cyborg, tell us about Aquaman. And it's just like, gosh, like we're having to learn more than we get to enjoy. And that was my biggest freaking problem with it. In the chat, we have Cringeworthy Geek saying, DC's biggest problem is that they have tons and tons of studio interference. They never let the directors do what they want to do. Agreed. Christopher C says, Martha. Lol, I forgot that crap. Hey. We have Starlty Sherry's. I'm not going to lie. I don't know who you are. Welcome to the show. I love seeing new faces on the chat. How you doing? Yes, DC have to get it together. Agreed. Carl's Amateur Hour. Batman vs. Superman ain't that great, but it ain't that bad either. I don't like how they treated Jimmy Olsen. True. Or how they shoehorned all the League members into the movie. True. Aside from that, it's all right. Cringeworthy Geeks. I will defend the Iron Man 3, except the ending. Like you defend Batman vs. Superman. Huh? No, don't even try. Niobe Comics says the only great DC movie I've seen was Wonder Woman. I'm just going to throw this out there. When I saw Wonder Woman, I cried 5 times. I know exactly each scene that I cried because I was just like, this one of the scenes when they're at the trenches and all of a sudden she's like, I've got to help. And then she gets up. I was like, oh, it's Wonder Woman. She's helping. This is amazing. And like, I was like a feminist at that moment. It was great.
Do you know what's crazy about that scene?
What's crazy? Lay it on me.
Studio wanted to cut that scene.
Of course they did.
Why?
They were like, they were like, it's not Wonder Woman. I'm like, that is the penultimate Wonder Woman. That is the Wonder Woman.
No, that's why we shouldn't be surprised that the studio wanted to cut it. It is Wonder Woman, so let's get rid of it. Like these guys who run these studios, I think we can all agree on this is they're not comic book fans. I think we can all agree on that now.
Oh, I agree.
So that's why there's a lot of these problems. And one thing I wanted to go back to is the leg up that Marvel has on DC is that Marvel is a true universe. The DC universe technically isn't a universe because it's been created by so many different people, all these different characters at so many different times throughout the history. Essentially, the Marvel universe is all, with the exception of a few, created by Stan Lee. So it all comes from the same mind. It all had the same starting point and was built up from the bottom. Some of these characters, Batman and Superman, have a leg up on Green Lantern and some of these other Flash and some of these other characters by a few years here and there. Wonder Woman came 2 years after Batman, but it's still at different times and also by different creators. The one thing that Marvel has going for themselves is that Stan Lee was the guy who got the ball rolling. R.I.P. Stan, we love you.
Yeah, R.I.P. Stan, for sure.
Yeah.
So guys,
that's one thing that is great about the Marvel universe and why they have the leg up on DC is because they are a true universe from the beginning.
Yeah,
DC,
I've never thought about that.
League and they have all that stuff, but some of these characters are from different eras.
It's true, and some of them are even from different companies that DC just bought. Like
a lot of them, yes. Like even look at Shazam. Even though I keep going to Captain Marvel, I had to catch myself there. I wanted to say Captain Marvel, but I went with Shazam. Fawcett Comics invented.
Yeah.
He was a #1 competitor of Superman at one point in time, and they got him. So yes, definitely everything that you said, spot on. And it's because of that, I think now that's rearing its ugly head that DC hasn't been able to put everything together because it hasn't been a universe all the way through. Yes, there's been moments in time where everything's been on the same page, super friends and stuff like that, but from the beginning, it's all patched together to make one big thing, where Marvel is one whole to begin with.
It was always going to be one big thing.
Yes.
Everyone, I'm going to answer this question in the chat, those who are watching. What do you think about what about TV show comic book adaptations? What are your favorites? Because you guys know that I hate my job, and today, oh my gosh, guys, today at my job, I was literally sitting there at my cubicle. I'm watching Daredevil season 3. I've had it with my work. And I literally looked at every single part of my desk and was like, I think I could take myself out with that phone. I think I could take myself out with that water bottle. Like I figured different ways to take myself out with the stuff in my cubicle because that's just how like done I was with my job today. But segue, I was watching Daredevil season 3. No one spoil it, I'll kill you. But what do you guys think about TV? Do you guys watch any comic book TV adaptations? Niobe Comics says I cannot stand the CW shows. I want to talk about that. But Aaron, do you watch any comic book TV shows?
Yes, I'm a little bit behind on some of them. CW shows were okay at the beginning. Now, I mean, with Arrow being in season 7, it's season 7. It's Green Arrow, so it's Green Arrow. It's season 7. Anyway, Iron Fist was terrible. Just terrible.
We're talking about Green Arrow. You're like, Green Arrow, it's a season 7. CW, Iron Fist is terrible.
But no, of my favorite shows, definitely Daredevil. Season 1, part 1 of season 2. Did not care for part 2 of season 2. The whole Electro bit just did not do anything for me. The whole Punisher thing, however, fantastic. Punisher was good. Walking Dead was good for 4 seasons. And I started watching Titans, and it's not bad. It's kind of growing on me.
That's what I hear. I hear it grows on you. My only problem with Titans, and I watched the first episode, was I was like, oh, it has like the kind of like it's still like dark, and it feels like Gotham with like a rated R violence. And then I just think like, who is this for? I mean, even I saw that scene where he pulls out the R from his chest, flings it, hits the dude's eye, kills him, and then like yanks it out, puts it back on his chest. I was like, what the frick? Like that was like ridiculous.
No, there are some moments in it that are just ridiculous. But episode 4, once you get there,
was good.
I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm just gonna tell you the name of the episode, and you'll know what it's all about.
Tell me.
Doom Patrol.
Oh, did they do a good job with it? Because they're gonna make a Doom Patrol. Is it gonna be? Do you think that? Did they do a good job with it?
Oh, fantastic! It's like spot on.
Okay. That's awesome. I saw the promo for it. I don't know what it was like.
It's definitely good. Other than that, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I have not seen that much CW. I watched maybe few episodes of Legends and few episodes of Supergirl.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. But I do enjoy. I mean, the first season I really enjoyed of Supergirl. The second season, it could have been better. And this third season, we'll see where it goes. I'm still gonna stay loyal because I always like to stay loyal to the shows that I see from the first season on. So like Arrow, I still watch that, even though like Aaron said, it's season 7 and it feels like that. But the thing about Arrow is basically. And a lot of these shows like Titans on that DC Universe app, let's just get a Batman TV series. All these shows, they all feel like to me that they're all doing these backdoor Batman.
They all want to be Batman, but they can't.
Yeah. Like if you want to do a Batman show, just do a Batman show. Don't waste all these resources with Legends and all these shows and whatever. If the budget needs to be there, cancel a bunch of these other shows. Don't do a Green Arrow show. Just make it a Batman, because essentially Stephen Amell is playing Bruce Wayne. That's who he is. I mean, yes, he's Oliver Queen, but he plays Batman, really.
And everyone will watch a good Batman show.
Yes. And all they did was they just ripped off all the Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil stuff from Batman anyways. So let's just package a bunch of our resources together and make a Batman show.
Don't forget the Titans villain, Brother Blood. That was gave me eye cancer after I saw that. I'm like, you made Brother Blood into that? Really? A senator?
There's an old school Green Arrow villain. I think I'm getting the name right. I think it's Bullseye. I know there's Bullseye in Daredevil. That's the one everyone thinks of, but I'm pretty sure there's an old school Green Arrow villain. He's a clown called Bullseye. I might be wrong. I'm sure the people in the chat will check me, but there's an old school villain called Bullseye, and he's a clown. So I thought that they were going to bring him in and treat him like a backdoor Joker. That's what I thought they were going to do. I thought because they are pulling from all these different angles and going very, very deep into the source material of Green Arrow. I thought they were going to go to the Golden Age and bring this villain back. I'm surprised they didn't do that because they were doing a lot of fun little Easter eggs in the beginning of the show. Season 1, he doesn't wear a mask. He has the anchor chain grease because in his origin story, the original origin story that they gave to him, that's what he does. He scrapes off some grease from the anchor on the ship that he escapes the island from, and he molds a mask out of that grease. And that was a hat tip to that. That's why he didn't wear a mask. But then we've started to go off on a different path, and it's season 7, like Aaron said. But I'm gonna keep watching it because I'm just gonna see where it goes.
So we got in the chat, we have Daredevil's a masterpiece by Britain. Christopher C says, agreed, CW is trash. I thought the first 2 seasons of Arrow were great. I thought season 3 was like, I thought season 4 was like, bleh. And then like, I didn't watch season 5, but I hear season 6 was really good. We have Cringeworthy Geek saying DC cannot make TV shows. Marvel isn't the best, but they have a few fantastic shows on Netflix. My biggest problem with the Marvel Netflix shows is they're like 13 seasons. There's 13 issues and 13 episodes. And I think some of those episodes just like drag on and you can make them into 6 really good episodes. That woman, Niobe comic, that woman who played Elektra is my future wife. Not if I beat you to it. No, my wife in there is awesome. Elektra in the show is better than the movie. Easy, duh. Starfire looks like a New York City hooker. She's gonna get her normal costume in like episode 9. Read the internet. But I agree. Gotham is awful. Yeah, Gotham.
I disagree.
I will also disagree because I mean I have like my qualms with it. I think it's all right. My biggest problem is the villains. Like, how by the time like these villains like finally beat up Batman, they're gonna be like old. That's my only problem with Gotham. But I think Gotham's good. Can't wait for Doom Patrol. You guys looking forward to Umbrella Academy on Netflix? Heck yes, I have both the comics. I'd love to see a Batman show. It'd just be so easy. Just get a good Batman suit. That's all you need is a good Batman suit. Have a good Jim Gordon. Have like half the show be Jim Gordon solving crimes and half the show Batman also solving that same crime. And then the fighting, gosh dang it.
But see, Arrow already kind of laid out the blueprint because they started adding all those characters, Mr. Terrific, all those side characters. That's kind of like their version of the Bat family. So yeah. Batman season 7, if there was a TV series, we could have Nightwing and we could have Red Robin and we could have another Robin and we could have another Robin, 5,000 Robins and Batgirl and Batwoman and all those characters at a later date, similar to what they did with Arrow. He was just one man. And John Diggle started off kind of as his Alfred. He was his bodyguard, and then he was transferred over into being a superhero, which I always thought in the back of my mind that they were going to make him Green Lantern. I thought he was going to be John Stewart Diggle. I thought there was
going to be so smart.
That's what I thought. I thought they were setting up because there was one, I can't remember. I think it was either the end of the 3rd season, I want to say, that he turned into a superhero, Spartan or whatever he's called. And I thought that before they said that, because there was a scene at one of the end finales of one of the seasons of Arrow where he said, you need to start wearing a mask. And I thought after that scene, the ending of the season was going to be him getting a ring from Hal Jordan or somebody, or them just completely retconning Hal Jordan out and the ring would just appear. And then the next season, he would learn how to use the ring and become Green Lantern. I thought that was what they were setting up, because the special effects did get better as these CW shows have moved on into the all these different TV series they're doing now. Like Legends has pretty good special effects. I mean, I'm not a fan of the show, but they could do something with Green Lantern.
My biggest problem with Arrow, though, was that after I felt like the second season and they introduced like the Flash, I thought the tone changed and the shows all became really campy.
It really did hurt it, because they're back to this, let's create a universe. Like Arrow, here's what they had to do. Just make Arrow, perfect it, run it into the ground, and then start new. A lot of the problems that the CW shows have is most of their writers are all the same writers. If you look back at the beginning, showrunners of the shows that got Supergirl and all those other ones off the ground, they all started on Arrow or Flash. And they're all the same people. That's why they all feel the same. And again, how many stories can one person tell? How many stories is inside a single person? Obviously, Stan Lee, he has a million stories inside of him because he created all these great characters. But the average person, the average writer, there's only a handful of stories with the same characters that you can go to over and over again. That's why we don't see the same guys writing every single character. Sometimes we see one guy who just specializes in this character and he doesn't touch this other character, even though he's a talented writer. He doesn't have a story for that character. It's all about story. Michael Yu, the producer of Batman, he says there's 10 ways to make a great story. Number 1, story. Number 2, story. Number 3, story. Number 4, story. Number 5, story. Number 6, character. Number 7, story. Number 8, character. Number 9, character. Number 10, story. It's all about story. And if you don't have a good story, you have nothing. And that's the problem these CW shows run into. I think a lot of the actors are really good. A lot of people say the acting sucks, but it's story first, then the actor.
Agreed. Everyone, real quick before we move into the next topic, comic book reboots. Did you guys know that Aaron and Mike are both crowdfunding comics right now on Indiegogo and Kickstarter? Mike is doing a book called Cage Fighters from the Rock. It's on Indiegogo right now. It's got a month left. And you can be a character in this book as a permanent character if you go to the $100 reward. So check that out. Also, Aaron's got a book of Liaxia #1 of 7. I just know that because he told me. And he's got 15 more days to go. And the book is almost funded. So everyone, go check that out. The books are in the description below. Please check that out. Check those out. Okay, everyone in the chat, here's a question. What do you guys think about Marvel and DC constantly rebooting their comics to either #1s, rebooting the whole series, or doing like these big universe changing events that, change the timeline? Mike, what do you think about this? What's your thoughts?
It's a necessary evil. It's not my favorite thing, but sometimes it has to be done. There's some times where we just get so confused with continuity that there needs to be a cleanup at some point.
No, that's probably the best way to say it, because like it's a necessary evil. Long-term comic fans, they'll like shoot themselves in the head because they're like, oh, another reboot. But then it also kind of gives opportunity for new readers. I only got into comics because I saw that Batman #16 came out, and I was like, there's only 16 out. I can start at #1, catch up. And now now I'm reading comic books all the time. But if it had been like Batman #600 something, I'd been like, it's too late.
Absolutely. My only problem with the reboots and the renumbering is when they just do it for sales, or they do it because they don't like the current writer that's on it and they're trying to start fresh without really any direction or ideas. Like when they try to replace somebody, that's where we see the most problems. Sometimes we see problems just the nature of the beast because they have to do a reboot like DC Rebirth, where they are, and the New 52 and all those kind of relaunches where they relaunch the whole universe. But when they relaunch individual titles, just because somebody's not selling or because they don't like what that writer is doing on it, a lot of times those fail, pretty regularly because of the audience not being interested in the character, regardless of are we going to reboot it or not. Sometimes a reboot can't save a character. Sometimes the character just, at this point in time, just isn't working. Sometimes these publishers get into this thing where, every character is popular. We just have to find the right tone. Well, sometimes every character has to have their moment in time, and sometimes it might not be that specific character's time.
No, agreed. I mean, look at, like, for example, Guardians of the Galaxy comics. Those are doing really well. But before the movie, no one gave a crap about Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. I don't mean to be a blabbermouth. Some people are a ham. They call them a ham. I'm the whole thing. I love hamming it up. So anyways, what I was going to say was this, is that sometimes it's good that they go so closely to a movie that's popular. Sometimes that's good for sales and good for business and good for introducing new fans to these characters who like the movie and want to jump into comics. Sometimes that's good, but then sometimes it backfires. So it's a really slippery slope. How close do we go to the movie that everyone knows and loves? And how close do we go to just what's been done already in comics and what we've started to build? Because there's a lot of times where a character will have a very successful movie and people will go, hey, I'm going to start reading, let's say Daredevil. I'm going to start reading Daredevil, or I'm going to start reading Captain America or Batman. And they're like, what is this crap? I don't understand what's going on, or I don't understand this character. That's not like the movie I saw. So that's another slippery slope the publishers have to deal with. And another one in a similar tone to that is when the characters are different from their on-screen portrayal. Sometimes the fans just rebel against that on the flip side. Sometimes the comic book fans don't like to see the changes that are made on the screen. So you have to kind of service multiple people at the same time. But again, that's where we come into all these problems. We can get a Black Panther movie to make over $1 billion, but we can't get a issue of Black Panther to sell 100,000. We can't even get into the ballpark. We can't get 75. We can't get 50,000 copies of a Black Panther comic book. So that's something that is very interesting to me to see how that can be changed and to get everything on the same level so that the pre-existing fans who love the comics and the movies have something to go to, and the people who love the movies who want to get into comics have something to go to.
I think what they should do is, if, like, let's say like a Black Panther comes out, when you go see that movie, there should be like, they should like hand you like a free comic book issue.
Yes, they did that perfectly with Batman 1989. One of the best comic book adaptations of a movie to a comic is what Denny O'Neil did for that movie. It's perfect. It's square bound, glued in. It's really nice. I mean, there was a staple version back in '89 when it originally was released, but I love what they did with that. So I totally agree with what you're saying. They should be handing those out at the theater, whether they, Marvel just eats the cost. I mean, Disney, they have all the money in the world. They're too big to fail. So, I mean, they could just print it out and give us something so that people, hey, this comics thing is pretty cool. Let me try to get into this.
Yeah.
Because there still is that disconnect between the people who love the movies and the people who
are reading the books.
Yes, there has to be some sort of gateway to that. And I think what you're saying is the perfect way, because there's people out there still who don't know where comic books are sold. There's people out there who don't know that there's these specialty shops. There's people who are afraid to go into them. So we have to bridge the gap. And what you're saying, beautiful. I think
Aaron, what about you? What do you think about comic book reboots, like a #1 or something? What do you think?
Well, they have their place. I have problems with them when you have a book Marvel's been doing this for the past 2 years now. They'll have a book, they'll have 6 issues, they're gonna be like, didn't sell. I guess let's do a number 1, see if it's gonna sell again.
Right.
And trying to remember, I mean, Guardians had that problem. They rebooted Guardians like 2 or 3 times. They rebooted Captain America several times. And it was unnecessary. They were trying to, try to get all the, I guess, capture of the Civil War and all of the MCU movie craze and try to, sync those characters with the comics. And it pissed a lot of people off, because I mean, if you're trying to be a true collector, and that's why I like kind of what they did with Legacy. Hopefully they won't reboot it again. But the one thing I like about Legacy more than it being a number 1 or anything like that, it's the fact they went back to original numbering. So you still see, okay, this is Captain America 12 or whatever, but on top you see 720 or whatever it is. So that's kind of cool, because you kind of still have that feel like, okay, it's brand new, it's shiny, but if you're a true collector, you can see, okay, this is a book, truly it's back to continuity. Like, I love what they did with like Venom, for example. They say Venom 300. I'm like, Venom never had 300 issues. When did Venom have 300 issues? It had mini stories, but it never actually had one continuous story that's just that. Like DC, Shazam is coming back with a comic book right now, right around the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be interesting, because Shazam's been out since, I mean, the last Shazam story was the Jeff Jones, Gary Frank book.
In New 52, right?
Yeah, in New 52, and that was like a six issue kind of side story thing.
Yeah, bomb.
That was fantastic.
It was good. It was good, but just it wasn't well received, so no one bought it.
Right, because it's again, it's like what Mike said. There's each character, each story has its time, has its place, and Shazam is definitely. I mean, it's so 30s, it's so 40s. It's like, oh, let's reboot Spirit. No one's gonna read Spirit right now. Or
you brought up a great thing with Shazam. Let's see where they go with this. Are they going to stay loyal to the movie and just add on from where the movie leaves off, or are they going to try to do just a new take on Shazam and try to get the comics to where they're going? I'm curious to hear what you think. Where do you think they should go?
I mean, they should. Shazam is such an interesting concept, because honestly, the book hasn't been truly out other than those 6 issues in 40 years. It's like bringing back Legion. They
Sure.
can do, they can do so much with it. So they can take partially and take the book and be like, okay, we're going to follow the characters from the movie a little bit, and you can still kind of integrate them into comic book continuity, because it's just been so long. A lot of people, it's a completely new generation that are going to be reading Shazam books if it sells. You don't have a ton of kids going out there and buying Golden Age and Silver Age books. They should, but you just don't have that.
Right. And you also made a great point with Spirit. There's some characters, and I know we love every character in the Marvel universe and the DC universe and all these characters, but there's some characters that just time can't save them. As we get further and further into the future, some of these characters are going to have to be left behind, unfortunately. Like all these pulp heroes, I love all these pulp heroes. I love the Phantom. I love the Spider. I love all these characters, but there's no market for them because they've been eaten up by the DC and Marvel characters. The Shadow was a sort of Batman-esque character. Now we have Batman, so we don't need the Shadow around anymore. So I thought when you brought up the Spirit, I thought you were dead on with that.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, like Lone Ranger. I mean, it's a great concept, great book, great, not such a great movie. But again, there's no place for stuff like that now. Maybe down the line there will be, but there are certain things that just need to be left behind.
So we got Niobe saying, "I can save them. Anything can be cool with a modern twist." Anything can be cool with a modern twist.
Absolutely. But the one little problem with some of these characters is that they've been so far removed from the mainstream that it's basically a new character. So you have to kind of promote them the same way that you would promote a new character, and that takes a lot of time.
Because no one, if you were to ask anyone on the street, "Hey, what do you think about the Spirit?" they'd be like, "Who?"
Yeah.
But if you were to,
the fantastic movie that Frank Miller did, come on.
But the DC New Age of Heroes, it would be like that. So think about the Silencer and think all those characters, how they've started from ground zero, even though these characters have been around. I mean, the Phantom technically is the first comic book character. I know it was a comic strip, but a lot of elements that Bob Kane took from the Phantom, he molded into Batman. The whiting of the eyes to have the mystery behind it, because the Phantom is the ghost who walks. So those characters would have to be treated the way these New Age of Heroes that DC has currently are being treated, where people have to be brought along slowly. And it's kind of different because they've been around forever, but that would be the way to promote them. I see some of the old pulp heroes that Dynamite and other companies are putting out now. They're just being treated like, oh, you remember them. They've been around for as many years, if not more, than Superman and Batman. But people don't know them because they've been away for a long time. Yes, we had that Billy Zane movie where he was the Phantom, but that was 22 years ago at this point. So
thanks for making me feel old.
Yes. I think the person who was commenting in the chat has a good point. Everything can be brought back. It just is going to take time. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, a lot of these publishers and movie studios, time is their number one enemy.
I agree.
And
go for it.
No, I was just going to say, and the time, effort, and just the will, because right now, it's all about Batman. It's like, let's make Avengers movie 55, because it sells.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
They don't want to risk anything that sells. I mean, they're risking a little bit with like movies with Ant-Man and those smaller C, D tier, Marvel characters. I mean, but they want to go back and revisit things like Shadow or things like even Darkman. That's pretty recent. Right. But they just it's too niche for them to do that.
And you just touched on it beautifully there when you were talking about them going to make Avengers 55. It really all started in the 70s and 80s, where all these movie studios were being bought up by corporations. They weren't being owned by a single person anymore. And all these corporations are looking for those pre-sold properties, because to promote a movie or a TV show or any form of media, it costs so much money that they have to make money on the end. It's not like the old days where they could just put out something and take a risk. The risk they take now is when the cards, they hold all the aces. That's really the only time they'll take a chance with an Ant-Man. If all these Marvel characters, the Avengers, all these characters had failed, they would never do an Ant-Man. Now they feel a little bit good about themselves because they've had some hits, and now they're able to take a chance. But they're not taking the chances that they would used to do with these maverick producers and these guys who would just roll the dice. Because Superman, the first movie, the Soul Kinds, they were those mavericks. They were those guys. Oh, Superman. Oh, you can't make a movie about a comic book character. You can't do that. And they saw what we all see, and that this character is very rich. and popular, and let's make a movie, and they did it. So you said it beautifully there, Aaron, when you were talking about the pre-sold properties, because that's 100% right. The movie studios nowadays won't take those risks that they used to, but that's how they got built to be the way they are now, which they don't remember.
No, yeah, I agree. I agree with you that, and like listening to this, my biggest complaint with my job is like, guys, like the reason why these old characters, the reason why they're not popular anymore is because they need to be, because they're not rebranded to a modern day age, and no one knows their story. Like the reason why, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm sick of like seeing another Spider-Man origin or another Batman origin. But the reason why people know who Batman is because everyone knows that origin. It's constantly being told to us. No, like I can't tell you the Spirit or the Phantom's origin because it hasn't been retold, it hasn't been rebranded to a modern day age. And so if you're gonna create something and you want it to last the test of time, you're gonna need to rebrand it. I just want to get in the chat real quick. Holy crap, a lot of people. We got the Wonk up. What up, Wonk? It says seem like the place to be. This is always the place to be. Let's see. Niobe Comics says you need to rebrand them, give them a new look, keep some of the elements from the past that made them cool, and embark from there. Absolutely. That is the smartest thing to do. Well, hey everyone. We've hit an hour. That's how long I typically like to do these streams because I want to hang out with my lovely wife, Ren, who is making banana bread in there. Hopefully she shares. I just want to thank Aaron and I want to thank Mark for coming on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed this. It's always fun talking about this pop culture kind of stuff. But what's also cool is checking out their Kickstarter and Indiegogo campaigns, which are in the description down below. We got the Book of Lyaxia, #1 of 7, because I know that. Because I'm privileged to know that. Check out that book. It's almost funded. It's got, I was going to say 14 days ago. 15 days to go. I was close. And then also check out Cage Fighters from the Rock. It's on Indiegogo. That's a Mark's book. And Mike, sorry, my bad. Mike's book. And guys, you can be a permanent character in the book, a permanent character in the entire 12-issue series, based on one of the rewards. And the art is going to be great. So that one still has a month left to go, but you should still check it out. And yeah, guys, thanks so much, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Is Mike on Facebook? Yes, he is. It's Mike Radich. Mike Radich. There you go. That's Britain asking. So yeah, guys, thanks so much for watching. Quick announcement. Tomorrow I was gonna do, typically on Thursdays we do the creator hangout where writers and artists would come on and we draw some fun things. And we were gonna draw the Crow this episode. However, the Seahawks are playing the Green Bay Packers, and that is my family versus my wife's family, and so we're gonna go to war tomorrow night. We're gonna have a little family party, so we won't be doing that stream tomorrow, but there will be hopefully a new episode. If there's not a new episode, there will be an episode on Friday. Starlight Cherise, thanks so much for watching. Welcome to, you're the only person here that I don't recognize, and I love it seeing new people in the chat. So thanks so much. Christopher C, is the lotion and mitten to keep your pimp hands soft? Oh no, that's for my wife. She gets dry hands. Oh my stars. Okay, Niobe Comic, invite me on next. Oh my stars. Niobe Comic, invite me on next week for sure. For sure. Nice voice crack. My voice doesn't crack, Brandon. I'm a man. No, it did. And Justin Ori says I'll still share my crow. Justin's been practicing on his crow, and he's been doing a great job. Niobe Comic says Wonk loves comics and is my gaming buddy. So everyone, check out Niobe Comics channel. Check them out in the chat. They do gaming and they do comics like this. They do streams like this. And Larry's awesome, and he's been on the show several times. So yeah, everyone, we'll have an episode on Friday. Check out their and if you haven't yet, check out the episode from last night where we talk about how to market your indie comic book on social media. There's a lot of people that market their books wrong, and it pisses me off. This is how you can do it. So check out that episode. Now Comics says gaming is done on Rebel Gaming Channel. So type in Rebel Gaming Channel. Aaron, Mike, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Everyone, check out their books, please.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, Cage Fighters from the Rock. $5 gets you issue number 1. $5 issue number 1. $100 gets you as a character in the story, and you will walk away with an awesome prize.
You guys, guess how much a Denny's breakfast meal is? It's $10. Guess what? For that, if you save that $10, you can get both these books. So don't go to Denny's this weekend. Go check out their books. All right, everyone, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, comment, let us know what you thought of this episode. Thanks to everyone for who was in the chat today, and new episode on Friday, same time. So peace.